Funny like that, it makes me pause because, like Levi with his ghosts.
Oh yeah, I remember the Levi
Now,
story.
Levi's an intelligent Bible studying man,
Mhm.
but he absolutely believes that he saw that ghost up the side of the hill.
I remember Levi telling that
Oh
story.
my goodness,
And my dad was with
he
him.
absolutely believes it.
Yeah.
But Dean was at your church. They had singing going on, and there was some guy there that was sitting by him, waiting to go up to sing, and he could tell it. Dean said I could tell he was just agitated and just even breaking out in sweat. And he said he got up and he said, Dean, pray for me. And he left.
Mhm.
And they found him that night in Oberlin. He had mutilated himself. It took 3 cops to hold him down. He was demon possessed.
Mhm.
Oh,
The demon. That's what he told me. The demons are going to get me.
Hmm.
And he got up and left. And they actually it actually took 3 cops to even hold him down. But by that time he had already mutilated himself. He'd already cut his penis off.
Mhm.
And they, you remember that?
Mhm.
Oh, geez,
I don't
I remember
remember that.
Dean telling me that. Well, when somebody like that tells you something, you have to weigh it.
Mhm.
I mean, Dean wouldn't make something like that up. I mean, that's not just a.
He was pretty strict in his beliefs.
He was, and not only that, but there was a record of it. I mean, the police record of it. But I never know whether that stuff is demon possessed or just a form aberration of mental problem. You can have all kind of mental problems, and I'm sure there was all kind of people put in an insane asylum that there was nothing wrong with them in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
You know, they just just like the witches. The Salem witch trials. I mean, anything they did that was unusual. And now then, I'll take you back to not witches and ghosts, but Dr. Martin taught history at Dunville College. I had classes to him. He was a brilliant man, absolutely brilliant man, and an excellent history teacher. But they got rid of him because this was back in the age of McCarthyism, and they were sure that he was a communist because the light in his house would be on at all hours of the night. And they fired him. They finally got rid of him, Dr. Martin, and he was just a brilliant and an excellent history teacher. But because he didn't conform to the little,
Circle.
colloquial town that we had there, they knew something wrong.
Well, it's hard to distinguish between things
I
like
know
that
it is.
because
It's very difficult. Very difficult.
Satan has a way of making things looking exactly what you want it to what you want it to be.
He'll make that picture look really good.
Yeah.
The only time I ever had what I even questioned was divine intervention was I was building that addition on Durkee, and I had all of the addition up. The most of it up, and I had put a basement in that, and I'd already moved the refrigerator and stuff to the basement. Where I was going to keep a freezer. Stuff to the basement. And the furnace was already down there. I'd already had it down there. Moved it, and it came a downpour, a flood, and I had the ditch around, and I had the hole where the sump pump pipe was going to go through, and it hadn't gone in yet, and I hadn't put the sump pump in, and that water, no eaves troughs, of course, and that water was just coming off there and filling up that ditch, and I was out there just absolutely sure that I wasn't going to let that water in there ruin my stuff in the basement. I'm out there and the lightning flashing and there's crashing thunder. I'm out there with a 5-gallon bucket sitting there just mud from head to foot, and I'm shoveling that out, and I just kept on, and I could just see that line coming up on the cinder block where it was filling up. And I finally said, I just threw the bucket aside. I said, all right, God, you win. And it quit raining. That water came up to about that far, so that hole would stop.
My goodness.
That's That's about the only time I ever wondered if it was divine intervention thing. But it's just almost like I showed you. You thought you knew it all, Betty.
Well, did you believe Rubel's story?
Hmm?
Did you believe Rubel's
No,
story?
I never did.
Did your dad?
Well, my dad also saw that woman.
So he was.
Yes.
Yes,
yes,
Dad and
both
Rupert
of
were
them.
together.
Ford and Levi both saw.
Yeah, they saw the woman go up the hill, and then when they got to the top of the hill, there was no woman, and you could see for a long distance. So there's no place she could have gotten to where they wouldn't have seen her. You know, not in the ditches or anywhere around. She disappeared because they weren't that far behind her, and so he knows that she was a spirit of some sort. Dad said that to the end of his days. He's definitely.
Oh, I know.
he
Levi
definitely-
did too.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna change it. No.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a firm believer.
It was a strange woman. They didn't know who she was, and he described even the type of dress she had on and everything. It made quite an impact on them. Yeah. But they knew everybody in the area, so.
But you know, you remember when at least I do. I remember when I was young. Man, my imagination. I had an imagination.
How old were they though?
Well, they were young men.
Yeah,
Yeah, they was in high school.
No,
Yeah.
I was gonna say in high school.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
still in high school. But I would love to know. Pop would send us after the cows, and I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and scared of my shadow. You wouldn't catch me outside of a night. That's the only way I can remember Tanner School. Tanner home, where we lived at Tanner. I was 5 years old when we left there. Only thing I can remember, we were supposed to go out to the outhouse when we wanted to go pee. Of a night, forget that, buddy. I went to the door, and that was part of it. There's no way I'm going out that dog. But anyway, later on up Singing Creek, and I'm 12 or 15 years old by then. And he'd send me after those cows on one of those old dark, foggy, gloomy evenings, and you have to go up there that road, the Willis place,
Yeah.
and you start up the side of the hill there, and this squall came out from this rock, and I knew it was a bobcat. I knew my time had come, and I would love to see the footprints where I ran back down that dirty road. I'll bet I broke Roger Bannister's 4-minute mile. Because you're adrenaline.
Oh, yeah.
I just felt like I was floating. I didn't even feel like I was touching the ground. So imagination can do.
Was it a bobcat?
No, it's probably nothing but a screech
Ow.
owl. But it was just like Willie. It was a good night for her,
Did you have bobcats around there?
There were a few bobcats around, and there were some panthers.
I started to say there were
I was gonna
panthers. That's
say,
why they
yeah.
called it
Where
Panther
it got
Fork.
its name.
Yeah.
Where it got its name. But no, imagination is we were just talking about that the other day. Forget who that was. One of their kids. And I couldn't remember when Leanne was little, 5, 6 years old. And I thought I was going to have to take her to a child psychologist. She was absolutely a dog. There was no question about it. And she'd crawl around for 4 or 5 hours at a time if you let her. And she'd actually eat dog food. We had to keep the dog food dish away from her. Oh, she was.
I heard there's kids in school now that
She
are
was just.
cats.
She was
They
just-
want litter boxes in the rooms.
Oh my goodness.
If they want them,
But they're
somebody
in
will probably
school.
let them have
She
them.
was just
You
still
bet.
a little
No,
thing.
I worried about her. I actually did. She just
Wow.
had a vivid imagination. she could just drive me crazy.
My Colleen talked really early because of the boys, and plus, I believe Colleen's very intelligent. She's probably
She
genius
is,
level
yeah.
intelligence. So by 9 months old, she was talking in complete sentences. She literally was. She would freak us out because she would talk about remembering being in heaven before she was born,
Oh.
sitting on God's lap.
Wow.
Now I don't know if that was imagination.
And how old was she?
She's 9 months old, talking.
Wow.
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 Yeah.
Well, she was closer to heaven than anybody else was.
That's right.
Yeah. 9 months before that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she would say, yeah, mommy, I used to be in God's lap, and He told me I had to come and be born.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Huh.
She was always a talker and a crier. Still is.
But you know, they used to sleepwalk when they got that way. You remember? Remember when?
Yeah, I used to hear a lot of people
You don't hear that very
sleepwalking.
much
No,
anymore.
you don't.
No,
That's
no,
true.
But
now
you
they
remember the
bring that
story
up.
Mom told about the guy they moved?
What?
The guy that they moved to a new place. I don't know who he was. I don't remember the name. But they missed him in the middle of the night, and he got up in the middle of the night and walked clear back to where they had moved from. And there's a dug well there that they had moved the thing, you know, the where you draw the water up, the wood part, but left it open. And he was sitting there with his feet hanging down in that well.
My
And
goodness.
they didn't know. You remember Mom telling that? They didn't know how they was going to get to him without waking him up. I'm afraid he'd jump right in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the end of the story. I don't know how they did,
Oh my.
but he was sleepwalking. That's, you know, probably half a mile.
You don't hear much about it anymore.
No,
but
you don't.
The very
No.
first camping trip that Ken and I went on, they woke us up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and said that somebody is lost. Somebody's sleepwalking. They don't know.
There's a little boy missing. They said
Oh,
somebody's missing out of their
no.
tent.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Out in the wilderness and
Yeah.
everything. Oh.
So they were waking up all the campers and getting people to go do a search.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Did they?
Yeah, they found him. He had drowned. He drowned.
He drowned?
Oh.
He died? Oh my goodness.
The little
Who
boy.
died?
This little boy while we were camping.
Oh.
But this
He was
was
about
in
7.
Canadian camp?
No, this
Oh,
was when
oh.
we were family camping.
Oh, when you were family camping. I thought you meant up at Canada.
No, family camp. It's
They
just-
found his body in the lake.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you don't hear much about sleepwalking.
No.
Mm-mm.
No, you don't.
Yeah. Ron still complains because he still can't sleep. I said he finally got to sleep in his bed last night,
Wow.
but he said
Wow.
he still didn't sleep. And I said, well, that's something you were going to talk to your doctor about anyway. So,
Is he still on oxygen 24/7?
yeah. He said when he was doing physical therapy, going through all of that,